Hey everyone, I'm Rob with Wicked Prepared, and today we're going to be doing some gardening. It's a beautiful day here in Maine. We're approaching the end of March, and I'm ready to start some vegetables. The only problem is that's my garden. It's under probably close to a foot of snow. I have two options. I can either wait until all this snow melts, then wait for the mud to dry up. A lot of times this floods out here. Um, we would be waiting quite a while to be able to even get in the garden to start working on it, uh, let alone actually putting seeds in the ground. So of course I did start. I've got tomatoes, peppers, and some of those types of plants under grow lights inside already, but some of the things like broccoli, cabbage, lettuce, kale, all the crops like that, you can uh, you can get started now with what they call winter sowing. And you may be wondering why I'm holding a milk jug. That's the key to winter sowing right there. So I'm going to take you through the steps. It's not too difficult, and I tried it for the first time last year, and I had really good results. I did some experiments with different vegetables. Some vegetables that I was told you can't winter sow or you shouldn't. Things like corn. I did do a tomato plant and a pepper plant. They all survived. What I found, especially with the corn, it's really just as easy to wait and just put the seed right in the ground. That's why it's been done that way for many years. But I just had to try it to see what would happen, and it did work. But there was really no advantage to it. Where the advantage comes into play is for the crops like broccoli, lettuce, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, things that can survive the cold temperatures, but it really could go right in the ground now if there wasn't a foot of snow in the garden. So uh, it's those types of crops that you can winter sow and get kind of a jump start on the season, maybe get a first crop done, harvested, and have time to get a second crop in to get them growing before it gets too hot out and everything just bolts and goes to seed. What is winter sowing? Winter sowing is essentially starting seedlings, planting seeds in dirt in containers that you can put outside over winter. And these containers act as miniature greenhouses and allow the seed to grow and get light without being damaged, but they still go through the natural progression of kind of freezing and thawing and cold temperatures, warm temperatures. They grow a lot more naturally than they would grown under grow lights. So if you started a plant under the grow light versus starting a plant through the winter sow method, the plant under the grow light may grow quicker, may look healthier, may indeed be healthier. But before you can transplant it into the garden, you have to go through the process called hardening off. So you basically take it from under the grow light and put it outside for an hour the first couple days, and then the next couple days you put it outside for a couple 3 hours and just gradually expose it to the colder temperatures and the sunlight as opposed to the grow light. Now the winter sown plant that's in a milk jug or whatever container you use, it's already been exposed to all the cold temperatures, the fluctuating temperatures, the different days of sunlight versus rain. It grows a lot more naturally, so it doesn't need to go through the hardening off process, and it's already acclimated to being outside. Basically, when the seedling in the milk jug is strong enough and grown enough, developed enough to be transplanted into the garden, you literally take the soil out of the milk jug, break it apart if you have multiple seedlings, and transplant them right in the garden. With winter sowing, there's just a lot less attention that you have to give the plants. Obviously, you don't use any electricity, you use a lot less water because these are being rained upon, and the plants end up being a lot healthier and sturdier and stronger, really. A lot of people use grow lights with heat mats under them and even a fan blowing on the seedlings, all to mimic what happens in nature. But for any cold weather crops, they can be right outside. Winter sowing, that's what we're going to be doing today. Alright, I got you in the workshop with me now. It's actually just my garage, but it gives me a little place where I can keep it heated and stay away from the kids and Jared. Don't tell anybody. One of the great things is that once you do get this prepared for winter sowing, you can use them year after year until they get too brittle that they fall apart. But this is about half of the jugs that I used last year. This is one of my containers from last year that I made out of just a regular old milk jug. You want to make sure you use the ones that are somewhat translucent, just not the solid white ones. You need light to be able to get through it. It's the idea that it's like a miniature greenhouse. So we'll start with, I'll just show you how to make one here. You just start with your milk jug, and probably should have had my tools ready ahead of time. Okay, so we got our milk jug here. You want to save the cap for later. Take your knife, and we're gonna cut right about, I like to cut right about here before the milk jug starts tapering up. So you're gonna start right here on this first side. Certainly doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to leave enough room at the bottom for a good amount of dirt. So what we'll do is we'll cut around and leave that much right there for a little hinge. But it just take it's like a 1/4 inch drill bit, and I put a few holes right in the bottom. I think what I was doing is just go ahead and put 4 holes. 4 holes right in the bottom, that for drainage. And then what I like to do is take and put, hopefully you can see that there, put holes in the side, on each of the 4 sides. That way, if the bottom gets, it's going to be sitting right on the ground. If the bottom is frozen to the ground, or it gets plugged up and it can't drain, and hopefully it can still drain out of these side holes. Little trick I found. Let's do that in each of the 4 sides. That's all you need to do for drainage. And then like I said, to save the cap, what I'll do is take quite a bit smaller drill bit, and we'll take the cap and we'll just put a few holes in the top of it. What this does is it keeps some of the heat inside while still allowing it to breathe a little bit with those little holes in there. Now you do have to be careful, because this will get so warm sitting outside like a little greenhouse. It'll get hot inside and it will start to roast the plants that are inside. So I only put the caps on if we're gonna have a really cold spell, or if it's gonna be raining really hard. Alright, so now that your milk jug is all set, so what we're gonna go ahead and do is put dirt and seed right in it and get it outside. Now you want to make sure you're using seed starting mix. I take this container and put some dirt in. I'm going to be planting quite a few of these today, so I'll need quite a bit. But dirt in, and then I got some water here. And put a little bit of water in. If you've gardened before, you know about how much water you need in the dirt, but if you haven't, you just need, it needs to be pretty wet, and I'll show you. This water actually has a little bit of ice in it, so, but put some water in. If it's too wet, put more dirt in. If it's not wet enough, put some more water. But the way it was taught to me, so I'll pass this along to you, is you want the dirt to be, if you pick up a clump of the dirt and you squeeze it, you should not have water running out of it. And this definitely does. So, now my hands are dirty. I hate getting my hands dirty. That's not true. So I'm just going to put in a little bit more dirt, kind of soak up some of that water in. That's fine. I think we're going to call that good right there. So our dirt is all set. Now I'm going to wipe my hands on something. I have a rag here. Instead of wiping my hand on my pants, and then Jared gets mad at me. Still did it anyway. Okay. Okay, so we got our dirt ready. We got our milk jug here. We're just gonna put the dirt right in. And I like to have, what you want to shoot for is a good 3 inches or so of dirt, because these plants are going to be growing quite a bit in here. They're going to be spending a large portion of the beginning of their life in this jug, so you want to make sure there's enough soil there that they can really get their roots down and be supported. You don't want to compact this. I just kind of tamp it down a little bit, just so I can see how much is in there. And put this a little bit more. That's probably pretty good. So there's the dirt in the milk jug. Move this out of the way here. And then these are all the seeds we have here. And quite a few new ones this year, and then quite a few that we just bagged up at the end of last year because we didn't use them all. But what I was looking for is right here, broccoli. So we'll start out with that. Like I said, this is some that we had from last year. We didn't end up using them all. So I just put them in a Ziploc, kept them in the basement, kept them dry, and they'll still be fine this year. So, something like, so when you're putting the seeds in here, you can some people will put just one seed, but what I was doing last year, and it seemed to work good, is putting 4 seeds in each jug. So I would put in each of the corners. That allows enough space for each of the plants, but it also leaves the middle open, which is a good idea because when you have the jug sitting out here, the opening is about in the middle, close enough to be in the middle. If you get a hard driving rain and you didn't get that cap put on there, you're going to get rain droplets just driving right into the middle, and it worries me if you have a little seedling started here and it gets raindrops just driving onto it, it's going to damage it. it may survive, but I'd rather not put it through that kind of danger. So what I'll do is I'll do 4 plantings. Now some people will do a couple seeds to each one, and that's probably what I'm going to do here. You gotta figure, germination rates are anywhere from say 50% to 80%. If you get a 50% germination rate and you put 2 seeds in each corner of here, you got a pretty good chance that one of those seeds is going to germinate and end up growing into a seedling. Now you may get both seeds germinate, and then you end up with 2 seedlings growing right side by side. You're gonna have to get in there and thin those out at some point before they get too big. But I'd rather know that something's gonna grow in there rather than nothing. So I just put 2 or 3 seeds in each of these corners. Then I'm gonna take some of just a little bit of the dry soil and sprinkle it over the top. Just a little layer. Broccoli seeds aren't very big, so they don't have to be in very deep. So just a dry layer over the top. So now that you get your seeds in the dirt, you're going to go ahead and take your lid here and flip it up and just kind of tuck the bottom in. So what you end up with is the top just overlapping over the bottom there. You can see that. And take some duct tape. Peel off a pretty good sized strip. Just start where the hinge is, and just wrap it all the way around. Doesn't have to be airtight or anything, obviously, but came up just a little bit short. But you want it tight enough so it does have to keep the heat in. So keep that in mind. So get that taped up, and then what I'll do is we want to make sure you label it. So I make a label with just a piece of duct tape. I had this one here from last year, and this is just duct tape that I wrote on with a Sharpie marker, and it ended up surviving well enough that I'll do it again this year. If you could put a marker inside, a plant marker, and there are some I put a piece of duct tape on the inside just in case the outside one blew away, but I never really had that issue, so I'm just going to do it this way this year, just with one piece of duct tape hooked onto it. And this was broccoli, so what I like to do is just put the date. Today is the 21st, and this is broccoli. Pretty simple. And you could even do it again, so that way, show you here. Take that piece of tape, take it right there. We're gonna just feed it through the handle, fold it back on itself. And there you have our broccoli label. So this is actually all set to go outside. Like I said, I'm just gonna save the cap, not gonna put it, so it's gonna go right outside just like that. Alright, so what I did was, this is a little bit of snow that I dug out just so I could have a nice even surface to put those milk jugs down in. I did one more just so I could carry it down here and just show you. If you can, what I did is found a little piece of a little area that's sloped just slightly. That way I know the water isn't going to collect under the jugs. So basically you don't want the jugs in a big puddle. This is sloped just enough so that the water will run away from them. And it's a little bit higher than the rest of the ground too, so they should stay somewhat dry. You can see here, it's the garden behind me, and it's melting. The snow is melting, but it's going to take a while, even as nice as it is today. So here's what I've got started so far, and I'm definitely adding a lot more to this. Yeah, so that's winter sowing in a nutshell. It's pretty easy, and there's not much to do after you've put the seeds in the dirt and put the jugs outside. You want to have a nice an area where you get a lot of sunshine, and you do have to check them to make sure that everything is wet enough inside once in a while. You just take a peek in. If it looks dry, I usually just use a spray bottle and spray a little bit of water inside, but where it acts like a greenhouse, it keeps a lot of the moisture inside, so they didn't dry out too quickly last year. That's about it. One of the nice things with this is it doesn't use any electricity, so in the event of some kind of an emergency, or we didn't have electricity for an extended amount of time, we'd still have a decent system for growing vegetables here in the Northeast. Alright, so that's all I got for you today. That's winter sowing. And I'm Rob from Wicked Prepared. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, and you'll get updates on any new videos we put up. If you get any comments or questions, just post them right here. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you might have, and I'd love to hear your experience with doing with winter sowing. And that's the thing with gardening that I really like, is you're always perfecting your skills. It's always a learning experience. You always find new ways and better ways to do stuff, and that's probably my favorite thing about gardening, is you're never gonna master it, and nobody ever has. So that's pretty cool. But I'm Rob from Wicked Prepared. Survive today, thrive tomorrow. We'll see ya.